Hey, Kevin John here. I am currently off of MLK and 42nd Avenue. This is in South Sacramento. We are just getting to the scene right now of where a shooting transpired earlier today. Here's what we know at this time. At around 6 o'clock, police were notified and basically received a phone call that there was a gunfire going off in this part of the neighborhood. Shortly after that, they dispatched crews out here. And I'm going to turn this camera around just to kind of give you guys a look of what the scene currently looks like. As you can see right in front of me, they obviously have it taped off so we can only get so close to the scene. But if you look there in the distance, you will see, I'm trying to see if I can zoom in there. There we go. As you can see out there in the distance, there's a lot of gunfire. I mean, as you can see from the markers, the yellow markers on the ground there, I would say, you know, at least 20 rounds that had gone off. But in regards to who was shot, victims, and all that other information, we recently just spoke with the Sergeant Tess Dieterding of Sac Sheriff, and she informed us that, I'm gonna turn it back around to me, put this light on right here. She informed us that at this time, 3 people were shot. 2 of them were transported to the hospital. They are currently being treated. 1 of them was pronounced dead later at the hospital. We know that there are 3 adults. There are 2 women. Here, I'm trying to get my light going right now, so just bear with me for a second here. So, okay. So like I said, there were, as we know, there are 3 adults that were shot. There are 2 women that were shot and 1 male. And the male was later pronounced dead at the hospital. Unfortunately, he succumbed to his wounds. We do know that all 3 of the people who were shot are adults. In regards to a suspect, a motive, we do not know this at this time. You know, we don't know whether it's gang related. We don't know anything. They're still determining information. There's detectives on the scene, CSI on the scene, who's determining that information. And pretty much they're just going to have to rely on witness statements, people that were in the area that saw something that could be connected to this. But you know, they definitely have their work cut out to try to determine exactly what happened here. But once again, for those that are just tuning in, what we do know, there was a shooting that took place here earlier this evening, around, you know, just before 6 o'clock. At 6 o'clock is when they were phone calls. Several people had phoned in reports of gunfire in this neighborhood. We're right off MLK and 42nd Avenue, and shortly after that, police officers were dispatched to the area. They immediately found 1 female who was shot in the upper body. She was later transported to the hospital. She's currently being treated at this time. Shortly after that, they found a male who had been shot as well. They tried to administer life-saving medical approaches to him, CPR, but unfortunately he was pronounced dead later at the hospital, so he did not survive. There was also another victim, and this is interesting. The last victim actually arrived to the hospital on her own. We don't know if she drove herself there or was transported there, but she did arrive on her own, and we understand that her injuries are a result from the shooting behind me. So once again, I'm just gonna put it back out there just so you guys can get a look at the area right now. Zeke has a question. I'm gonna answer Zeke's question real quick. Zeke says, are the suspects still at large? Zeke, that's a very good question. We do not know at this time. We don't know what the motive is. We don't know who the suspects are. They're still determining information at this time. They're going to rely on witness statements, anybody who saw anything. And of course, you know, the detectives are on the scene now to do their job. CSI is on the scene now to determine. But at this time, we do not have any solid information about the suspects. That investigation is going to be ongoing as they try to figure out exactly what happened. Once again, if there's anybody that's tuning in and has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them for you right now, or at least tell you what I know at this point in time. Once again, this is in South Sacramento off MLK and 42nd Avenue. There was a shooting that happened earlier today, approximately 5:30-ish. It was before 6 o'clock. Several people phoned in to the called 911 and reported gunfire in this area shortly after police officers were dispatched, and then that's when they arrived at the scene and saw what was going on. I'm gonna turn my camera around just so you guys can get a look real quick of what the scene looks like. It's still very active, as you can see. Obviously they have it taped off so we can't get over there, but once again I just want to show you just so you can see how much gunfire is. I'm trying to zoom in, there we go. Just so you can get an idea and look and see how much gunfire is there. You see it there in the background, all the markers on the ground. We were told that as much as 20 rounds. That's an approximation, so don't quote me on that. But you can definitely see from the markers there was a lot of gunfire that transpired. It was outside. The shooting did happen outside of what appears to be an apartment complex. So the apartment complex, we don't know if it started inside and then carried out to the street, but we do know that the shootings did happen outside in front of this complex. And there's still a very heavy police presence here. They still have the tape up, and I'm assuming that it'll be up as they continue to investigate this over the next 24, 36 hours, however long that it takes. But once again, at this time, for anybody that's joining in, we do not have any information as far as suspects right now. They are still investigating that, trying to determine exactly what happened, if there was a motive, what the motive was. So if anybody, I'm gonna turn it back around to me. If anybody has any questions or wants to know exactly anything, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. I'll be sure to check those. And just one more time, I'll just kind of give you guys another recap of what happened for those that are just tuning in. Earlier this evening, shortly after 6 o'clock, police arrived on the scene here. This is on the corner of MLK and 42nd Avenue. When they got on the scene here, they noticed a woman who had been shot in the upper body. She was immediately transported to the hospital where she's currently at right now and being treated for her injuries. Shortly after that woman, they noticed a male suspect. They administered life-saving measures on him, including CPR. He was transported to the hospital. Unfortunately, he was pronounced dead. And there was a third victim who ended up at the hospital that was not transported there by an ambulance, but she ended up there, and she's currently being treated. Her injuries, to my understanding, are not life-threatening. So we're still finding out information on that. But once again, we're out here. This is on the corner of 42nd Avenue and MLK in South Sacramento. Very active scene. Once again, if anybody has any questions or if there's anything I'm gonna look real quick to see if anybody's asking any more questions. I'll turn this around for you one last time just so you guys can kind of see what's going on out here. But obviously there's a lot of work to be done here. If you know anything, if anybody saw anything, of course, Sac Sheriff is encouraging you to call the police department or dial 911, let them know what you saw. But once again, they're still out there trying to, pick up the pieces, determine, let me zoom in there real quick, exactly what went on. And I guess my zoom is not working, but at any rate, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to ask me. I'm going to walk away and let them do their job over there. But if you have any more questions or anything, feel free to drop them in the comments. We will do our best to answer the questions with what we know at this particular time. I also will be giving a live report at 11 o'clock on ABC 10. And if I have any more information or any updates, I will be sure to include that in the live report. So for now, I am going to sign off. But once again, if you have any questions, just leave them down in the comments and I will do my best to answer all of those. So I'm going to sign off for now. And if there's any more information that I have to update you with, I will be sure to let you know.